Sometimes, while observing my patients, I ponder how unfairly time is arranged. We live long years, striving to understand the world around us, loving, raising children, accumulating life experience, and suddenly realize that the fine print has become blurry, and the faces in photographs are losing their clarity. The eyes grow weary, memory fails, and the feeling arises that aging, cold, and irreversible has already caught up with us like a shadow from behind. However, let me assure you, things are not as hopeless as they may seem at first glance. I have been a doctor for over 30 years, and during this time I have seen hundreds of people regain clarity of vision and freshness of mind without expensive procedures and pills, simply by affecting a single point on their body. Yes, that's exactly it. Just 1 minute of massage on this point each day can literally turn on your eyes and memory like a light bulb after a long period of darkness. Before we continue, I ask you to evaluate this video. It's not for statistics, but so that more people can see such content that is truly important for health preservation. Believe me, the information you will hear today may change your perception both literally and figuratively. So, pay attention. I will tell you about a point that many are even unaware of. This point improves blood circulation in the eyes, activates brain function, and restores the connection between the body and attention. And the most important thing that truly changes life, I will reveal at the very end. I usually share this information only with those patients who are ready to take a step towards their health. Perhaps you smiled skeptically, wondering how a point on the body could affect memory? But let me ask a question. Does not the body hold memories of our life? Every tension, every wrinkle, every breath is a trace of our life path. When we begin to care for our body properly, it responds to us with clarity, calmness, and lightness. In my experience, it is after 50 that people begin to realize health is not a given, but a constant dialogue with oneself. If this dialogue is established, even the most age-related changes can be reversible. I watched as people regained their sight to the extent that they could read without glasses. I saw forgetful and distracted people regain confidence and clarity in their thoughts. You might say, is this a miracle? No, it's physiology. Most people simply don't know how to activate their inner resources. And now, I will talk about what many underestimate. Our brain and eyes are a unified system. When vision deteriorates, the brain also loses its activity. By training our eyes, we activate memory, concentration, and even improve our mood. Now imagine there is a way to gently, safely, and naturally activate both of these mechanisms simultaneously, without drugs, surgery, or stress. You will only need yourself, your hands, and 1 minute a day. I will explain where this point is located, how to massage it correctly, and why it simultaneously affects the brain and vision. But most importantly, I will explain why this simple ritual brings almost magical results in adulthood. Admit it honestly, do you allow yourself to enjoy life as you did in your youth? Or do you increasingly notice that fatigue and distraction rob you of the joy of simple pleasures? Reading books, taking walks, reminiscing? If so, you are not here by chance. In mature age, our brain resembles a garden where the flowers no longer receive enough water. They do not wither immediately, but gradually lose their brightness, wilt, and lose their fragrance. However, if we pay a little attention and give them a drop of water, they come back to life. This is exactly what happens thanks to the correct massage of the point I will describe. Please stay with us until the end. I will explain everything calmly and clearly, like a doctor who has observed the results of this method for many years. And believe me, if you dedicate at least 1 minute a day to this practice, you will notice changes in just a few weeks. At the end of the video, I will reveal the main secret that enhances the effect tenfold if you add one very simple thing to this habit. It is not magic. It is the interaction of your body and mind in harmony. If you have ever dreamed of regaining clear vision, fresh memory, and inner peace, do not switch away, because the most important miracle I observe in my practice is when a person suddenly realizes health has not disappeared. It is just waiting to be awakened. Now, about what I promised to tell. The point that can restore clarity of vision and vigor of memory is called Tsuan-chu, or more simply, the beginning of the eyebrow. It is located at the base of the eyebrows, right at the bridge of the nose, slightly above the inner corner of the eye. This area is one of the most powerful on our face. Here pass the branches of the trigeminal nerve, vessels that nourish the eyes, and energy channels that in Eastern medicine connect vision and brain function. Do not rush to think that this is something mystical. On the contrary, everything is absolutely physiological. When you gently massage this point, real improvement in blood circulation occurs in the area of the eyes, forehead, and brain. Oxygen flow increases, activating the areas responsible for attention, memory, and concentration. Now imagine that you practice this daily, even for just 1 minute. The effect accumulates, as if you are switching your brain to a state of wakefulness, clearing your eyes of fatigue, and regaining that inner clarity that is so easily lost over the years. I will tell a story that amazed me. One day, a woman approached me. Let's call her Valentina Petrovna. She is 68 years old, a former teacher, smart and neat, but very anxious. She complained that she was starting to forget the names of her students, although she used to remember all of them by their last names. Her eyes tired even after a short reading, the letters blurred before her eyes. She feared that this was the beginning of senile dementia. We checked everything: blood pressure, sugar levels, sleep. Everything was normal. And then I suggested a simple experiment: to massage the Tsuan-chu point for 1 minute in the morning and evening. 2 weeks later, Valentina Petrovna came back. I noticed that her eyes had become brighter. She smiled and said, "Doctor, I don't know how to explain this, but I can read again without fatigue. And the most amazing thing is that my memory seemed to clear up. I remembered my friends' phone numbers that had long faded from my mind. She did this daily, gently, with love for herself, sometimes sitting in front of the mirror, sometimes during walks. And do you know what happened after a month? She brought me a notebook in which she recorded all her memories to train her mind and said, 'I felt alive again.' That's why I always emphasize, don't underestimate the simple. Our body is not a machine, but a delicate feedback system. The brain reacts to touch like a child to care, and the eyes, receiving proper nourishment and relaxation, seem to rest from constant tension. Massaging the Tsuan-chu point is not just an effect on the skin, it is a signal to the brain. I am alive, I breathe, I see. This signal is especially important in adulthood. Let me explain in more detail how this works. With age, the muscles around the eyes lose their elasticity, the vessels weaken, and the tissues suffer from a lack of nutrition. As a result, not only vision deteriorates, but also the functioning of those areas of the brain responsible for memory and attention. By massaging the area between the eyebrows, you stimulate the production of endorphins, which improve mood and promote venous outflow, reducing tension. In the end, clarity, vigor, and lightness. Try it right now. Close your eyes. Place the pads of your thumbs at the base of your eyebrows. Make a light press as if you want to smooth your forehead. Slowly rotate your fingers clockwise. Breathe deeply. Make 30 to 40 gentle movements. Do not rush. Do not press. Just feel the tension release. It will take only a minute, but in a few days you will notice that your eyes tire less, your thoughts become clearer, and your mood calmer. In my experience, people who do this in the morning feel organized throughout the day, while those who practice it in the evening sleep deeper and wake up without heaviness in their heads. If you add a short eye warm-up, turns, blinking, looking into the distance, the effect will increase exponentially. Do you understand what is important here? Not strength, not technique, but attention. When you touch this point, it's as if you are saying to yourself, I care about you. I see you. And the body responds in kind. I urge you not to ignore this. Try for at least a week. 1 minute in the morning, 1 in the evening. Even if you don't believe it, just check. You will feel the difference. And now remember one important thing. This is not just a technique for the eyes. It is a way to activate the energy of attention, awaken the brain, remind yourself that life goes on. When Valentina Petrovna came to me for the 3rd time after a month, she said, "Doctor, I looked in the mirror and smiled at myself for the first time in a long time." Here lies the miracle of simplicity. No pills or complex techniques are needed. Only a gentle, mindful touch that restores the connection with oneself. With age, the effect becomes more noticeable as the mature body responds to care, just like a child to affection, instantly and sincerely. If you have already started massaging a certain point, continue. And if you haven't tried it yet, do it tomorrow morning, before breakfast, standing in front of the mirror in silence. Let it become your little awakening ritual. But I urge you not to stop at this, as there is a second recommendation that is rarely mentioned. It is not only beneficial for the eyes and memory, but can also significantly slow down brain aging. I apply it to my patients with cognitive impairments, and the results are always surprising. I will tell you about her a little later. Please don't leave. What you will hear may prolong your mental youth for many years. Over the years of my practice, I have noticed that many people after 50 begin to lose interest in life. They become less attentive to details, novelty, and the very processes of life that fill the mind with energy and prevent it from fading away. The second recommendation I want to give you relates to this aspect. I call it smart movement. A simple rule. To preserve the youth of the mind, move, but not just for the sake of it. Not through force and not for a pedometer, but with attention, connecting body and mind. This can be walking, light exercise, yoga, or even slow cooking. The main thing is that every movement is conscious. Awareness in movement is a means to slow down brain aging. I often explain this to patients. When the body is active, the brain receives nourishment. With every step, head turn, or gentle breath, signals are triggered in the body that activate neurons. Blood is saturated with oxygen, metabolism accelerates, and the brain receives the necessary fuel. But when you move with awareness, something greater happens. The brain begins to work not mechanically, but creatively, as if learning to live anew. Let me tell you a story. One of my patients, Nikolai Stepanovich, a 70-year-old man, came to me with his wife's complaints about his forgetfulness. He couldn't remember where he had put his keys, why he had entered the room, or what medications he had taken. He looked lethargic, irritable, and quickly fatigued. I reviewed his analyses. Overall, everything was fine, but I noticed that his mind seemed to have fallen asleep. I suggested a simple practice: mindful morning walks. No running or exercises, just a walk focusing on breathing and observation. We agreed on 10 minutes a day without phones and news, just him, his footsteps, breath, and the morning air. After 3 weeks, he came to me a completely different person. I'm not exaggerating. His eyes were shining, his speech became livelier, and most importantly, energy emerged. He said, "Doctor, I suddenly remembered the poems I learned in school." His brain, as if awakening, began to return fragments of memory, emotions, and interest. Scientifically, this is explained as follows. During conscious movement, the hippocampus is activated, the part of the brain responsible for memory. It is the first to undergo changes with age. When we move, especially if we do it with pleasure and rhythm, the hippocampus receives a rush of blood, rejuvenates, and creates new neural connections. This effectively restores the brain's ability to learn and remember information. Even short walks, if done mindfully, can work real wonders. In my observation, people who keep moving live longer, and it's not just because their muscles stay toned, but because their hearts function better. They stay longer in life because they maintain a connection with the surrounding world. The body serves as an anchor, keeping us in the present moment. When a person stops moving, they seem to disconnect from life. Therefore, I always emphasize, movement is not just a sport, it is an expression of love for oneself. Many patients ask, "Doctor, what should I do if my knees, back, or joints hurt?" I reply, move within your limits. One can simply stand and gently roll from heel to toe. One can slowly rotate the shoulders. Even simple movements of the eyes up and down, side to side. All of this stimulates circulation. All these actions send a signal to the brain. I am alive. If the body is in motion, life continues. But there is one important nuance. For the brain to truly work, it is necessary not only to move, but also to enjoy the process. Do not turn movement into a duty, but feel how the steps resonate in the body, how the breathing becomes smoother, and the world around begins to breathe with you. Try at least for a week. I ask you, do not postpone. In the morning, before breakfast, step outside for a few minutes. Even if it's cold outside, breathe in the fresh air, look into the distance, and feel how you are part of life. Returning home, take a minute to massage the point at the base of your eyebrows. These two actions together work real wonders. One enlivens the eyes, the other, the brain. Gradually, you will notice that forgetfulness fades, attention returns, and the day becomes longer because you are once again present in it, rather than drifting along. And I will say frankly, no pills can provide such an effect, because the brain ages not due to age, but due to inactivity, from the habit of living on autopilot. Conscious movement is not just a walk. It can be incorporated into any everyday tasks: washing dishes, watering flowers, ironing a shirt. If in these moments you feel how your body works, how your breath moves, how you exist here and now, you are already healing your brain. And not just healing, you are returning its youth. I have observed this many times. A neurologist friend of mine likes to say, the brain is like a garden. If you don't water it, it will be overgrown with weeds. Thus, conscious movement is the watering itself, without fanaticism, without pressure, but with regularity. Even 5 minutes a day is better than nothing. And what's particularly interesting is that when people start this habit, not only does their memory improve, but so does their vision. After all, the eyes are part of the brain. When the brain is active, the eyes receive the necessary nourishment, and when the eyes function, the brain gets stimulated. This is the connection that makes a person truly alive. I often repeat, do not wait for inspiration, just start acting. Take the first step, then the second. Feel your muscles awaken. Give your body a chance to remind you that you are still capable of much. And soon, you will feel a gentle warmth in your chest. This is life, returning to you. In my experience, those who keep moving smile more often. They cope with stress more easily and recover from illnesses faster. Their gaze remains bright because the brain receives what it needs: movement, blood flow, oxygen, and joy. And here is another thing worth mentioning, but many underestimate it. There is one factor that can nullify all your efforts. Even if you engage in massage, walk in the fresh air, and eat properly without this important element, all your efforts may be in vain. I mention this not to scare you, but to warn you, as I often see people lose their health because of it. There is something that is rarely spoken of aloud, although it often destroys vision, memory, and overall quality of life. I call it internal tension. It is not measured by instruments and is not recorded by analyses, but it is what makes us weak, tired, and distracted. This state slowly and imperceptibly drains our energy, like a small leak in a vessel, and with age, its influence intensifies. I have observed how dozens of people lost their health not due to illnesses, but because of accumulated inner tension, anxiety, grievances, fear, and control. This state seems to compress the body, making breathing shallow, the gaze dull, and thoughts heavy. The brain lives in constant stress, which over time leads to deterioration of memory, sleep, vision, and hearing. When I talk about this to my patients, many are surprised. Doctor, I'm just a little nervous. How is this related to the eyes? The fact is that the eyes are a direct reflection of the state of the nervous system, and they are the first to react to stress. In moments of anxiety, the muscles around the eyes tense up, and the blood vessels constrict, leading to reduced blood flow. If this happens every day, the tissues stop receiving the necessary nourishment, vision deteriorates, and the brain begins to function in a fog. Constant internal tension turns a person into a bundle of spasms. Even breathing becomes shallow. A person exists but does not truly live in the full sense of the word. I will tell a story that forever changed my perception of stress. A 64-year-old man, a former engineer, strong and disciplined, always reserved, but beneath this exterior resilience lay a constant anxiety. He kept everything inside and never allowed himself to show weakness. When he came to me with complaints of poor vision, ringing in his ears, and forgetfulness, the examinations revealed no serious issues. Then I simply asked, "Have you ever allowed yourself to cry?" He pondered, remained silent for a long time, and finally replied, "Probably 40 years ago." We began working not with the eyes, but with the body. We learned to relax, breathe deeply, and let go of control. I suggested a simple exercise to him. Every evening before sleep, close your eyes, place your palms on the area of the nose bridge at that very point of Tsuan-chu, and just breathe effortlessly and aimlessly. Just breathe and allow yourself to be. A week later, he called. His voice had changed, softer and more alive. "Doctor, for the first time in a long time, I fell asleep without pills." A month later, he came and said, "It has become somehow brighter, and not only in the eyes." His vision improved, memory stabilized, but most importantly, he began to feel freer. He finally allowed himself to be alive. This is the third key. Learn to let go. Learn to relax. It is not weakness but strength, as relaxation restores what tension destroys. It gives the brain a break, the heart peace, and the eyes nourishment. Without this, clarity cannot be regained, no matter how hard you try. In my experience, chronic stress makes a person older than their years. It damages blood vessels, raises blood pressure, provokes inflammation, and impairs neuron function. It's a silent killer that steals years. If one does not learn to relieve stress, all other methods will only provide temporary relief. How to achieve this? Start small. Every day, at least twice, in the morning and in the evening, take a minute for complete relaxation. Sit down, close your eyes, place your hands on your knees or face. Take a deep breath and feel the air entering and leaving you. Pay attention to your shoulders. Lift them and gently lower them. Let the tension leave your jaw, forehead, and neck. Just breathe. You can add a light massage at the bridge of your nose. It helps release the excess. Many of my patients say, "Doctor, I don't have time for this." And I reply, "You don't understand. This is not the time. This is your life." Those who start practicing relaxation for at least 1 minute a day notice that their vision becomes brighter, their hearing sharper, and their memory more stable. Along with this comes something that cannot be measured by instruments: inner peace. It is important to understand. Do not confuse relaxation with inaction. It is neither laziness nor apathy. It is a state when you stop fighting with yourself, when you trust your body and life, when you let go of control. Believe me, the body knows how to recover. It just needs to be allowed to do so. I watched as even severe symptoms disappeared when a person learned to relax. One woman with chronic neck pain and constant fatigue suddenly said after a month of practice, "Doctor, I can see better now." We conducted a check, and indeed her vision had improved. Why did this happen? Because the muscles of the neck and eyes have stopped being tense. Blood began to circulate freely, and the brain started receiving more oxygen. It's very simple. This destroys a person slowly and imperceptibly, so I strongly urge you not to delay. Every day, find a minute to let go. Do not hoard anxiety, do not rush, do not clench your teeth, and do not hold your breath. When you let go, life begins to flow on its own. And surprisingly, when a person releases internal tension, not only the brain is activated, but also the heart. Gratitude, softness, and interest in life emerge. A taste for simple things returns: conversation, a walk, or a cup of tea. Along with this comes real, vivid memory, not just a dry list of tasks. This aspect unites everything I spoke about earlier. Massage of certain points sends a signal to the body to awaken. Conscious movement activates the brain and restores energy, while relaxation helps maintain this effect, making it permanent. It is like an inhale, exhale, and the pause between them. Without one element, harmony is impossible. I often emphasize that health is not a struggle, but a dance where rhythm, breath, attention, and rest are present. When all these components are in balance, a person feels alive, even if they are over 70. As soon as one of the elements falls out, aging begins. If you are listening to these words now, please do one simple thing. Place your hand on your chest, breathe in, and feel your heart beating. Quietly tell yourself, "I allow myself to live without tension." Believe me, your body will hear this and begin to recover. You may find it too simple, but it is often simplicity that saves. Not technology or complex schemes, but human attention, breath, and calm. In my experience, those who can let go appear younger than their years. They have soft gazes, steady breaths, and clear eyes. It is interesting that memory returns with them, for it exists not in tension, but in peace. Remember one important thought: inner peace is not a luxury, but a necessity. It is like the light that nourishes everything around. Without it, even the most beneficial habits will not work. Now that you know the 3 key aspects: point massage, mindful movement, and relaxation, it's time to combine them. However, before we do that, I will tell you about one more important point. There are additional steps that help consolidate the result and make it stable. They require neither cost nor special efforts, only your participation and a little attention to themselves. When a person begins to feel changes, they have a desire to move forward. This is natural. The body responds, the brain awakens, and the desire arises to do a little more to solidify the result. It is then that additional steps come into play. They are simple, but they turn a temporary improvement into a lasting result. The first step is water. Yes, that very ordinary water that we consume daily. Many underestimate its importance, but in my experience, 80% of problems with eye fatigue and cloudy memory are related to simple dehydration. The brain is made up of nearly 80% water. When there is not enough fluid, the conductivity of signals between neurons is disrupted. The blood thickens, the vessels tense, and vision deteriorates. Try to drink a glass of pure water every 2 to 3 hours for a week. Not tea, not coffee, not juice. Just water. In a few days, you will feel a lightness in your head. Eye fatigue will disappear, and your memory will become clearer. This simple action helps the cells function like clockwork. The second step is breathing. People, especially as they age, start to breathe more shallowly and superficially. As a result, the brain receives insufficient oxygen and memory starts to fail. I often recommend to my patients exercises consisting of 4 stages. Once a day, inhale for 4 counts, then pause for 4, exhale for 4. A total of 10 breathing cycles. This is a simple, yet incredibly effective exercise. After completing it, the eyes become warmer, thoughts calmer, and there is a feeling of inner space in the body. This breath can be combined with a massage of the point located at the bridge of the nose. Inhale, gentle circular movements with the fingers. Exhale, and relax. That's all. The third step is warm hands. You may be surprised, but the warmth of the palms has healing properties. When we touch ourselves with attention, receptors are activated that send a signal of safety to the brain. The body relaxes, spasms disappear, and vision improves. Just before sleep, rub your palms together until they are warm and place them over your eyes. Feel this soft, living warmth. It relaxes the muscles, alleviates fatigue, and you sink into a deeper sleep. The fourth step is silence. We live in a world of constant noise, news, notifications, and conversations. However, a mature brain needs silence just as a heart needs rest. Find at least 5 minutes a day when you simply sit in silence, without your phone or television. Let your thoughts flow freely. Do not interfere with them. Silence is not emptiness. It is a process of restoration. In this silence, the brain organizes itself, strengthening memory. The fifth step is gratitude. Yes, you heard correctly. Gratitude is a physiological tool for recovery. When a person feels gratitude, dopamine and serotonin are released in their brain. These substances help improve mood and strengthen connections between nerve cells. Every evening, remember at least 3 things you are grateful for. It could be a cup of tea, a grandchild's smile, or a quiet evening. These simple thoughts nourish the brain just as well as vitamins. In my experience, it is the combination of these small steps, water, breath, warmth, silence, and gratitude that yields amazing results. A person seems to return to their body, becoming softer, more attentive, and more energetic. The eyes begin to shine, movements slow down but become more precise, and most importantly, the inner anxiety that ages us prematurely fades away. I remember one woman, Marina Ivanovna, who was 74 years old. She came to me with a complaint. I forget everything. My vision is failing. My mood is at 0. We started with a massage at the bridge of her nose, then added walks, breathing exercises, and water. 3 weeks later, she said, "Doctor, I wake up with a smile." A month later, she brought a photo from her youth and said, "Look, my eyes are just like that again." It's not a miracle. It's the result of self-care. If you try to implement these steps, even 1 or 2, you will see how your body begins to change. Even the walk will change, the gaze will soften, and thoughts will become orderly. The main thing is consistency. Do not expect immediate results. Give yourself time. Our body is wise. It recovers gradually, but surely. And I want you to know, everything we talk about works not only on a physical level. These habits restore inner harmony. When a person drinks water, breathes deeply, touches themselves with warmth, and expresses gratitude, they cease the inner struggle that takes years off their life. Please do not think that it is already too late. There is no age at which one cannot start. I have seen patients at the age of 90 begin to master breathing practices and feel a surge of energy within a month. All that is required is attention, and attention is life itself. Now that you know how to help yourself both externally and internally, we can move on to the most important part. In the next section, I will gather all the thoughts together. We will remember what makes these practices so effective, why they are particularly beneficial in mature age, and what lies behind all of this. This is not just an improvement of eye health and memory, but a return to oneself. If these words resonate in your heart, just support this, and it will help not only you, but others who are in need of inspiration and hope. When a person begins to feel changes, a quiet flame seems to ignite within. It is not a storm or a flash, but a steady, stable light. This light is a sign that the body is awakening, that the process of recovery is starting inside. In such moments, it's important not to rush, not to disrupt the rhythm, but simply to allow the body to follow its path. Everything I've mentioned before, point massage, movement, relaxation, water, breathing, silence, is not just exercises. It's the language through which your body communicates with you. If you learn to hear it, you can control your state without medicine, without fear and fuss. I often see people getting a sparkle in their eyes after the first week. They say, "Doctor, I find it easier to think. The heaviness in my head is gone. I no longer fear forgetting." And in such moments, I feel joy, realizing that the brain is starting to function again, and the body is beginning to listen to itself once more. But one thing is important here: not to lose focus. Everything we do should come from within, not because it is necessary, but because we want to feel alive. This state cannot be bought. It can only be returned. It comes gradually, with each breath, with every minute of peace, with each gentle movement of the fingers at the bridge of the nose. When I work with patients over 50, I always notice one particular feature. These people know how to endure pain, care for others, but very rarely for themselves. They can ignore fatigue for weeks, carry anxiety in their hearts for years. Yet the body perceives all of this. It stores every tension, every unspoken word, every fear. Therefore, sometimes it is necessary not just to heal, but to allow oneself to be heard, even if only by oneself. When a person sits quietly, places their palms on their face, and gives a light massage to the brow area, they are doing something more than just improving circulation. He seems to say to his body, "I am here. I feel you. I want us to be well." This is a moment of connection that knows no age. In my experience, it is such moments that restore not only sight and memory, but also one's attitude towards life. People become softer, kinder, and calmer. People begin to rid themselves of the fear of time, perceiving age not as a sentence, but as a stage where one can finally slow down and live in harmony with oneself. Many of you listening now might be thinking, "Doctor, all of this sounds nice, but will it really help me?" I will answer honestly, yes, it will help if you decide to start. Don't wait for inspiration. Don't postpone until Monday. Just take 1 minute today. The very moment you sit down, close your eyes, gently touch the point between your eyebrows, and feel the tension leaving with each breath. This is the moment from which everything begins. I observed how even serious symptoms like headaches, anxiety, and insomnia disappeared when a person began to listen to their body. It's not a miracle, but a natural reaction. The body always strives for harmony. It just needs a little support. Therefore, if you feel that these words resonate in your heart, I ask you to share them with others. Let this message reach those who are also seeking answers, who are tired of constant fatigue, and want to regain clarity of mind and vibrant memory. And you know, everything we talked about leads to one simple but profound conclusion, what I promise to reveal only at the very end. It is not a secret technique, not a hidden point, not an ancient ritual. This is something much more significant than any exercises, something that unites vision, memory, heart, and the very essence of human life. Now the most important thing, what I usually tell only those patients who are ready to hear. This is not just a recommendation, it is the key to staying clear, alive, grateful, and truly young at any age. Please make yourself comfortable and listen until the end, as I will share something that can change not only your vision, but also your perception of life, which is why I recorded this video. And now, when you have listened to the end, I want you to take a calm, deep breath and just feel how you are alive. Because the most important thing I want to say is not a point on the body, not a massage, and not breathing. All of these are just tools. The main thing is attention to oneself. Almost every adult person misses it. We care for everything around us, family, work, home, grandchildren, but rarely for ourselves. We postpone rest, joy, our own lives, and at some point, the body quietly reminds, "I am tired." Vision worsens, Memory fades, thoughts become tangled. But this is not a punishment. It's a request. A request to slow down, to remember oneself, and start listening again. I have watched for many years how people change when they begin to pay attention to themselves. At first, it seems that nothing is happening, but then suddenly it becomes easier to breathe, the eyes widen, and the world around begins to brighten. This is not magic, it is life that starts to flow freely again. Attention is a powerful healer. When you look at yourself with care instead of criticism, taking small steps, massaging a point, walking, breathing, and releasing tension, you send a signal to your body. I see you. You matter to me. And the body responds. So I ask you to remember the 3 main steps we discussed. The first step is a daily massage of the Tsuan-chu point, located at the base of the eyebrows. Spend 1 minute on this in the morning and 1 in the evening. It will help activate circulation, improve brain nutrition, relieve eye fatigue, and restore clarity of perception. The second step is mindful movement. It should not be mechanical and forced, but should happen with attention and joy. It can be a walk, light warm-up, or smooth movements. Any manifestation of body activity. Such actions awaken the brain, improve memory, and fill with energy. Finally, the third step is relaxation. The ability to let go, not to strive to control everything, not to live in anxiety, and not to rush. This brings peace to the nervous system, strengthens the heart, and restores sleep and vision. All 3 steps work in synergy. This is not just a method, it is a path to harmony, to the true self, to a state where body, mind, and heart become allies. If you add a little water, breath, warmth, silence, and gratitude to these steps, as I mentioned, you will gain not only improved vision or memory, but a completely new life. In my experience, those who truly implement these simple practices begin to change from within. They become calmer, not lethargic, but collected, clear, and full of life. Their eyes begin to shine, their walk becomes confident, and their speech gains softness. Most surprisingly, those around them notice it too, for a person in harmony with themselves radiates light. He does not speak of youth, he simply lives as if time no longer bothers him. Now let's move on to what I promised to tell at the very end. This is very important, and perhaps the simplest point. Everything we do for health turns out to be useless if we do not know how to enjoy life. Yes, that's right. Joy is not just an emotion, it's a biochemical process. When a person feels joy, their body produces substances that rejuvenate cells, strengthen the immune system, and improve vision and memory. Joy is fuel for the body and mind. Without it, any practice becomes a routine. Therefore, I ask you to find what brings you joy. It can be small things, the aroma of coffee in the morning, the voice of a loved one, sunlight on the leaves outside the window. Do not pass by this. Joy is what gives life richness. I strongly urge you not to ignore this, for it brings clarity, youth, and meaning. I remember one patient who, after retiring from many years of work, suddenly realized that he did not know how to relax. He came to me with complaints about deteriorating vision and weak memory, but during our conversation I realized that he simply forgot how to enjoy life. We didn't treat his eyes. We began to search for sources of his joy. He remembered that he once loved to draw, and a month later, he brought me a small album with drawings. "Doctor, I see the world brighter," he said. And it was not a metaphor. He really began to see better because joy enlivens vision, and meaning strengthens memory. So, please allow yourself to rejoice. It doesn't matter how old you are or what diagnoses you have. Age does not negate happiness. On the contrary, maturity adds depth, awareness, and authenticity to joy. Allow yourself to laugh, rest, and simply be. Take care of yourself, for your time is precious at any age. Remember, even the smallest steps can lead to positive changes in life. All you need is attention, tenderness, and a little patience. Your body appreciates care, the mind appreciates movement, and the heart appreciates peace. If you have reached this point, it means you have an inner readiness for change. This is already the first step. Write in the comments which of the suggested tips resonates with you more: acupressure, physical activity, or the ability to relax. Share what you have already tried, and please show this video to your loved ones, parents, and friends, those who may be feeling tired and drained right now. May these simple words help them just as they helped you. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new conversations about health, memory, and inner harmony. I will talk to you about truly meaningful things, about how to preserve yourself not only in body, but also in spirit. For now, just close your eyes and thank yourself for being here, for listening, and seeking a path to a better state. Your body will hear you, and by tomorrow you will feel a little lighter inside. Where there is light, life returns.